to the Postmodern Art Podcast, the podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wandering the world over the platform they deserve. I'm your host, Nathan Ragland, and for today's episode, put up your dukes for a hard-hitting conversation. Nah, I'm just joking. Actually, it's a very sweet conversation that I know you guys are going to absolutely love. Today's guest is Brynn Lewis, better known as Burrotello, an illustrator, animator, and maybe a music producer, working on the upcoming indie anime series Zipped Up, as well as the artist behind the insane AU that is the Amazing Digital Fight Club. I'll be honest, ever since I had seen the Amazing Digital Fight Club, I have been wanting to get Brynn on this podcast, and especially after we had the other fantastic guest known as Pretlefine Cotton on the podcast, the connection that they have, considering the fact that they're both working on Zipped Up, I knew it was just a matter of time. And thank goodness we did, because I think the conversation you guys are about to hear is absolutely fantastic. And I know you guys are going to absolutely love it. If you enjoy Brynn, please make sure you support her with the links down in the description below. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. Or leave 5 stars wherever you can. You know I see that stuff. And you know it genuinely warms my heart. Seriously. If you want to go a little further with that support, may I recommend you check out the merch shop on fourthwall.com. Link to that is in the description below. We have some fantastic designs as done by some amazing artists, including the brand new logo tees as done by the wonderful artist Roshan Galaxy that I know you would look amazing in today. And speaking of those amazing artists, the nominations are in, and now you guys can officially vote on the 2025 Posty Awards. The most prestigious award in all of art podcasts, the Posty Awards is meant to honor the amazing guests that have come and gone through this podcast, and we have the ballots ready for you guys. So if you go to the description below, you'll see a ballot that you guys can easily fill out, submit it before March 22nd, and then wait for the fantastic results, because I will make a full dedicated video for that stuff. It might take a second, but if you want to see your favorite guests win that prestigious Posty Award, vote today. But now, without further ado, please enjoy the Postmodern Art Podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this, by the way. I've been honestly... I have honestly been wanting to do this conversation for a while, and I'm excited that we actually get the opportunity to do this.
Oh, of course.
Well, I mean, I'll be blunt. I first heard about you whenever the Amazing Digital Fight Club first popped off, all right? That's how I first got invested, and then that's what got me in depth with not just what you are doing, but also with what Min is doing with Zipped Up or whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean, you saw how well that conversation went. So
yeah.
I bet you weren't anticipating that giant shout out, were you?
I truly wasn't. And when I heard it, I messaged her. I was like, man, what did you do?
And now here you are, taking your opportunity to take your stance for yourself and to give that love right back, baby. I'm
going to give it back to her. She's going to get shouted out 50 times.
Well, trust me, this is a podcast. This is a long-form podcast. You can have several different intervals where you can be sure to shout men out.
Perfect. That gives me as many opportunities as I need.
Perfect. Plus, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of cool to hear that, how you two basically are the best, and to the point to where now you're gonna be actually going to SCAD too. That's gotta be cool more than anything else.
Yeah, it's so cool. Wow, English. Wow. Just thinking back on how we met, because we met through I think it was Twitter. It was something on Twitter. We met through that, and now we're going to college together. It's so crazy.
It's insane. I'll say I partially say that because I'm actually from Georgia. I live in Athens, which is about 2 hours away from Atlanta. In fact, when I was talking to Min about it, I think you may have probably heard this at the beginning in the little intro bit or whatnot, but the fact that she's going to MomoCon, I'm gonna be there as well. So we're gonna have the chance to link up a little bit. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, and I'm tagging along with her. So
oh, good. I was wondering if you were gonna be there or not.
Yeah, I'll be there too.
Perfect. That is incredible. I can show you around. I can introduce you to the other indie animation people or whatnot.
And it's going to be so crazy because this is my first convention ever. Oh, so
okay.
It's I'm going to kind of be tagging along with people.
I'll let you know right now. I had that same feeling last year. I went to MomoCon last year, and that was my first convention ever. as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
And I will tell you right now, it is not as overwhelming as it may seem. Like I was telling Min about this as well, but like it certainly helps that the place is like massive. All right, like
Gotcha.
the actual like venue itself, it takes up like several different like giant floors that are like the sizes of like
Whoa.
gymnasiums
Okay.
and whatnot. Like
Whoa.
so like there's plenty of space to where if you feel even like claustrophobic in a certain area, you can step away for a little bit and like catch your breath, and you'll be like perfectly fine if that's one of the things you were concerned about.
That's awesome. Okay, good to know.
Yes.
I didn't know it was that big.
Oh no, trust me, it was. I was genuinely surprised with how huge it was. Like again, I've never been to a convention, but like the thing is,
Right.
like you enter in at like the main door, and then you have to go down like 3 flights of stairs. It's actually escalators, but you go down 3 flights of escalators to get to the actual floor itself, and then you actually go into the convention area. And when you step into that convention area, you were blown away you have to go down one more flight of escalators, but then you'll see like the giant like you'll see the floor and you think, wow, this place is massive, and then you'll walk through the entrance and you'll see another floor and you're like, oh my god, it's not over yet, and then you go through one more and
it just gets bigger and bigger.
Basically, like you have to go from like one side to the other just to get to like the artist alley or whatnot. Like that's how massive this venue is that they have. So but it's one of those like once you're there, like you are there, like you are amongst you are amongst your people, you are having a good time. Like it's a truly like it's a weird bonding experience more than anything else. So I mean, especially the fact that you're gonna be there with Min or whatnot, and some of the other indie animation people such as myself, like it's gonna be a good time. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, and that's like one of the most exciting parts about it is like a lot of these people, I've really only like spoken to them like, I hate to say virtually because it sounds so 2020, but virtually. And now I have like the chance to meet them with Min in person. It's so crazy. It's like, oh, I get to actually see you face to face.
That was literally the main reason why I went to MomoCon last year, is because like me and a good group of friends that I've had or whatnot, we rented out an Airbnb and we just spent like the entire time just going to the convention and such, or like just doing other stuff around Atlanta. Like to put it in context, this group, at least it wasn't everyone that went, but we had like 12 people staying at the Airbnb. That was how big our group was.
Okay. Whoa.
But like the fact that I got to actually spend some quality time with them, because in fact that, like you were saying, I've only known them like virtually like the entire time. Some of them I've interviewed on this podcast as well, which is like super surreal. And then to actually like
crazy.
And then to actually go to the convention and see other people that I've only seen like through a computer screen or through a TV screen or whatnot, or through a phone screen or whatnot, and then having the opportunity to actually like interact with them and like just enjoy the atmosphere more than anything else. It's gonna be more than worth it. Like you're gonna get that like instant like hit of dopamine, and like you're gonna be like, you're gonna want to go to like every single convention you can after the fact. I can tell you that from experience.
I have a feeling that might be the case. I might just want to do that.
I mean, to be fair, like a couple weeks back, I just got back from my second convention I ever went to, which was called MegaCon. It wasn't as good as MomoCon, but like still getting the opportunity to like go there and like meet up with people, meet up with a couple, like most of that same group, including a few new ones that were tagging along, and just spending just good quality time, because it was down in Florida. So I mean, we did Florida stuff on top of that. So it was really cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, I feel like what also goes hand in hand with like what I would imagine would be like the convention experience is also doing stuff around it as well.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
And yeah, just like being able to explore the area, because it also kind of makes sense as to why I could possibly do that in Atlanta, because I'm going to be down there in a couple months.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It does make sense.
I mean, to be fair, where the convention center is at, it's going to be right next to like, it's gonna be right next to where the basketball stadium is, where there's like a lot of events like concerts and stuff that happen there, and it's literally like a block down from the football stadium. Like that's where the convention center is located at.
Oh, yeah. Gracious, it's close.
Yes. Oh my goodness, it is absolutely close. And then like actually get to like explore the city itself for a little bit, because I mean there's like good places to eat around there. Little things to do.
There's stuff all over the place.
It's Atlanta. I mean, I grew up here, so I know exactly what it's like.
Right,
so,
it's Atlanta.
it's Atlanta. Like, what did you expect?
It's Atlanta. Come on.
I mean, what's so weird is like even if you don't step anywhere outside of that convention center, like there's still so much to do like in the convention center
Right.
itself. Like you could have a whole entire separate experience on its own just being that. I could go on for days, but then we would be like, it'd be like
Yeah.
12, it'd be like midnight, be like, oh god, we have to record this interview, don't
Midnight.
we?
Oh, gracious. Right. Just jabbering on and on. Listen, guys, it's Atlanta. It's MomoCon.
Yes, it's MomoCon.
Guys.
So what I'm saying is, oh, and I'll also go ahead and say I have been recording this like little intro bit right here, just kind of the pre-recording, pre-prep and whatnot.
Gotcha.
So I'll just go ahead and say, people, if you're listening to this, if you're going to MomoCon, you better see me and you better see Brynn right here because it's gonna be a fun time for everyone involved.
I'll be there.
Yes.
Min will be there too.
Min will be there too, and Lord knows how many other indie animation people are gonna be there.
Gracious. Lord knows how more.
So if this is right up your field, we'll be there. But now let's get to the actual interview itself, shall we?
Right. On that note,
All right, Brynn, before we really do get going, I must ask the icebreaker question of the podcast, if I may. Let's say...
Okay, I like guys.
There you go. Let's say you get to go to a desert island on your own accord. It's just you alone with your thoughts. You get to kick back, relax, breathe, get truly enjoy yourself for a little bit. With accommodations, you're not like stranded, like you're not in survivor mode or whatnot. And it's like a little personal B&B paradise away from society for a little bit.
Gotcha. Okay.
With all the amenities. But to make sure you don't go completely insane on this island, you could bring one piece of media or one piece of art with you to help with whatever kind of headspace you want on this island. If given this opportunity, what would that one piece be?
Oh God, this is a tricky one.
Mm.
What would I bring? And this has to be media or a thing.
It could be, like I said, whatever you consider art or media, whatever in that you consider in that realm, I will allow. I'm also very loose with the rules, so.
Okay. Good to know. What would I bring? What's the first thing that comes to mind? You're making me think here.
Yes. Hopefully this is like the toughest question compared to everything else that I have to ask.
This is the toughest question. Because there's so many things. I gotta boil it down to one.
Right.
God. Okay. Trying to think of something that isn't very broad. I think if I were to bring anything, it would probably be... Why is this question so hard? What did you do? Oh God.
Well, I assume because you're like some people out there that just loves to consume all sorts of media and art. So, yeah, everything.
Oh gracious. Okay. So, not technically like a TV show because there's too many of those.
Okay.
If I were to bring anything, it would be any of the 4 albums to Jacob Collier's The Jessie series.
Okay.
It will calm me down. I love all 4 of them. I don't care which one it is. But if it had to be one, it would be the first one.
You know what? That is extremely valid. I will say I've only recently heard about Jacob Collier. Because I think he did like an episode.
Really?
Yeah, because I think he did an episode of what was it? Final Meal or whatnot on the Good Mythical Kitchen.
Yeah.
But like, I'm interested, especially with the way like he speaks so eloquently about music and such. So it makes me curious. Why is the Jessie collection or whatever you called it or whatnot? Why is that like your answer? Why is that the one that you want to like go with?
So I think if anything, I have listened to, and this is gonna make me sound like such a baby. I have listened to his music since I'd give it like 5, 6 years old.
Okay.
I've been listening to it for a long time. Ever since he started posting his music on YouTube.
Okay.
And I think if anything, I don't want to go into the logistics of it, but especially in like the more tougher side of, life and what it brings, it was always kind of there to just make everything feel, not bad.
Right.
just kind of, it's very calming to me. And not even just that, but I've grown up in a family of musicians. So
okay.
It's also definitely like, I don't want to say like a little brain exercise to listen to it, but to just kind of hear how much goes into it. I just find it really, really relaxing.
Absolutely. And like I said, with what I was able to see from that interview that he did or whatnot, the way he kind of like talks about music and how much it like it sort of connects with
Yeah.
him on a weird different way or whatnot. Like I can understand how that could like, especially for someone like yourself that, like you said, grew up in a family of musicians. I can see how that kind of like touches you on a, like a spiritual level,
Yeah.
you know?
It's like, oh wow. He's actually explaining it. Whoa.
But regardless, the Jake McCollier collection of albums, that is your answer. You're locking that in.
I'm locking that in. That's one of the many answers I'd have, but I had to pick one.
Oh, I imagine there probably is. I mean, I'm sure we'll be talking about a lot of the ones that you probably would have loved to bring here in a second. But first, I cannot think of a better way to start the Postmodern Art Podcast. Welcome, everyone. I am your host, Nathan Ragland. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. You would look fantastic in the merch that we have at the merch shop, fourthwall.com. Link to that is in the description below. And follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and most social media platforms at Postmod Art Pod for future updates and guest announcements, including today's guest. She is an illustrator, animator, and maybe a music producer, working on the upcoming indie animated series Zipped Up, as well as the artist behind the insane AU, that is, the Amazing Digital Fight Club. Welcome to the podcast, Brynn Lewis, aka burrotello.
The crowd goes crazy.
It's like you freaking off the top rope. There's Brynn Lewis. Anyways, how you doing today, Brynn?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic now that I'm getting the opportunity to sit down and chat with you. Like I kind of said in our little intro area or whatnot, I have honestly been excited to chat with you for a while. Honestly, like, to be blunt, ever since I first saw the Amazing Digital Fight Club first blow up, I have wanted to get a chance to have you on this podcast. And now that I got the chance to do this, I am excited to talk about not just that, but all the stuff that you've had a hand in and honestly what is to come with what you're presenting out there. But before we talk about the art you're producing nowadays, I want to go back just a little bit and learn more or less the origin story of Brynn. I know we kind of got a taste of it with the little icebreaker question, but what got you interested in the arts in the first place?
Good question. Okay, gotta like rewind back. All
Mm-hmm.
right, so well, you know my name, Brynn Lewis, but I have always grown up around the arts. It didn't matter what type of art it was. It could be music, it could be drawing, it could be theater, it could be literally anything. And a part of me always wanted to kind of take what was shown around me and twist it into my own silly little
Okay.
thing. So I learned art, well, drawing. I learned it under my sister, first and foremost. And then I took what I was taught, kind of went crazy with it, and then just went a little bit beyond what I originally thought I would. But as of most recent years, I could say around 4, 5 years, I've really started to kind of get further into like the digital aspect of things and kind of leaning into more fandom work and trying to kind of get my foot out there. And along the way, I've met amazing people, like, for example, Silly Minnie. I have to tag her.
Oh, of course,
But I've
absolutely.
met incredible people along the way to like help me grow as an artist and also just as a person. So I guess through all of that, throughout my little journey, I can't help but thank the people who helped me get where I am.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially like you were saying in the household that you grew up in, where basically art was just on all four corners of every square inch at this
Oh,
point.
absolutely.
Like, I can only imagine being in a house like that, how much it really nurtured you into kind of like a true love and appreciation for the arts, and gladly not dissuade you from it because it's like, oh god, art all the time, good lord. Like I'm glad that like it
Right. Like, oh God.
I'm glad it, like I said, like it gave you a new love and appreciation that others might not have.
Yeah, like I wake up every morning, art on the walls, music downstairs because somebody's producing something. Oh God. But no, it was definitely something that inspired me, if anything else. Just seeing what my family could do. And I was a little teeny tot back then, so I was like, oh, maybe I could do that too. Maybe not in the same way, but something close to it. And
Right.
well, here I am.
I mean, yeah, here you are, and not only taking what your family has done, but kind of taking your own step, and like you said, adding your own little twist to it, to where you're presenting your own like strong presence out there in the world. Um, I know you kind of mentioned it with saying the past 4 or 5 years you really got into like the digital art aspect or whatnot. But I'm curious, when did from you go from this like just general love and appreciation concerning the environment you were in to a passion and wanting to make it your career? Like, when did you know for sure, like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna be an artist when I grow up?
I think it happened fairly recently.
Okay.
I have to say either my 8th grade year to freshman year in high school when I really kind of started like getting a taste of the possible careers that could come with it and seeing what people are actually doing with it, which I'd never seen before since, kind of lived under a rock thinking that everything had to be traditional.
Right.
So, I think the first kind of hint at it was when I looked into, I believe their name was Evan Stanley's work as a comic artist for the Sonic series.
Okay.
And that was one of the first kind of things that kickstarted like, oh wait, you can do that? Oh, you can do that nowadays. I might just do that. I didn't, but it was one of the things that like definitely kickstarted just the whole idea of actually taking it to be a professional career. And I believe their art was one of the main things that pushed me to change my digital work
Okay.
mostly. The way that I used to shade was fairly inspired by the way that they do their work. Now it's deviated completely, but I was definitely a bit of a, dare I say, Sonic fanatic three,
Yeah.
4 years ago.
I was gonna say I wasn't gonna bring it up immediately, but when I was doing my research, I was seeing just some of the different sketches and the different Sonic
Yeah.
aspects that you have. Honestly, like I was still like really impressed in the fact that like was it a few years ago you were like what 14, 15 years old, but like doing stuff like the art, the quality of the artwork, the quality of like the shading and the sketching or whatnot. You could have fooled me in
Thank
saying
you.
that you were like a 20-year like veteran of the industry with how good the work looked.
Thank you.
I
It
mean,
means a lot. It was definitely a learning experience because I think during that time period, I was still very, very, very strict to like, oh, I have to do traditional work or I'm not going to be able to get a job like this or
mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I was talking about. I thought that only traditional would get me a job. That is further from the truth.
Look, to be fair, whenever we're all like 14 or 15 years old, we think we know the path or whatnot, but we really don't. Like,
Exactly. We don't.
like when I was 14 or 15 years old, I didn't know that I would go to school for filmmaking because I didn't know that was going to be a possibility. That was the thing. I just kind of thought that like you knew people in the industry and congratulations, you're in the industry, which is not
Right,
wrong.
right, 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 right.
Which is not wrong, but
Not entirely wrong, but it's like not completely.
it's like there are other ways.
There are other ways to get into it. And like I think if anything from the people who have asked me like, "Oh, well how did you get into this or how did you learn this?" Connections. Please,
Yes.
please, please get connections. That's like literally like I want to say marketing 101, but one of the main reasons why I was able to learn as much as I could with my art is from learning from other people around me
Mm-hmm.
because clearly you never really know everything, and
Right.
it's always really really good to learn from other people and see how they do things and see how they see things.
I was gonna say, I know for you, you mentioned the Evan Stanley or whatnot, but what were some of those other artists that more or less inspired you, that kind of helped mold you into the artist you are nowadays?
There was a lot of both artists and franchises that really inspired my art.
Okay.
Less artists that I can quite remember, but a lot of the series that I definitely dabbled into during that time period were shows like Owl House and Amphibia, and definitely Rise of the TMNT. That was a big
Yep.
one. That was a massive one.
I was
That was
say
a big one.
I also noticed that face when I was doing my research on you.
Yeah, it was a big one. It was a big one.
I mean, to be fair, especially with the art style that one presented or whatnot, bringing like a unique coat of paint onto a legendary franchise like that, they
Right.
execute it really well.
They they did it damn well. They did a great job at what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if anything, that was I give it 2 years ago by now. I think 2, 3 years ago. And ever since then I was like, okay. I gotta lock in. I gotta draw like this, guys. I gotta do this.
Oh, okay. That's honestly extremely fact. Like the fact that
That was the catalyst.
that was the catalyst. That was the moment that you were just straight up like, okay, I see how these guys are doing it. I gotta be like that. I gotta do this.
Exactly.
I mean, I was.
That was the time.
It was the style at the time. I mean, I mean, especially with like that show and that art style, the fact that it's still so beloved to this day, to where like people are still clamoring for that, like that new season that they want, even though there's like already a new iteration of the Teenage Mutant Ninja
Right.
Turtles or whatnot. That is a testament not just to like the quality of the show, but the quality of like the writing and such when it came to that show, like this quality of
Exactly.
storytelling. Like it's insane how much of an impact that show
It's
still
crazy.
has.
It still has. There's still people begging for the season like 3 years after. Like, gracious. They need it. If
Yes.
anything, I would want it too.
Or at the very least, just have us like another movie, because like that last movie
Just
was really
something.
good.
Just a little something. Yeah, it was wonderful. It was absolutely. I think that was what introduced me to the series as a whole, was the
uh
movie.
I think that's what it introduced for a lot of people and such, honestly. Like, because I'll be honest, like I was aware of the show or whatnot, like as it was doing its run,
Right.
and I obviously had seen like clips or whatnot, but like that movie was just like a whole different level.
It was different. It was so different. Like, okay, I grew up with it. I've seen, the old ones. But the moment that I saw that damn movie, it was, oh my goodness. I was like, okay, so this is different. And I like the different. I
Yes.
like the different.
I mean, especially with like the shows that you were talking about and like how they also introduced different in their own right. I mean, I can easily see,
Right.
especially the more you talked about certain shows, like for example, like you saying like Owl House and Amphibia alone, like those. I wish we got so much more with them, but I'm glad with what we got because they were phenomenal.
Yeah. I have to learn to be content with what we have.
Yeah,
It's an
at,
interesting day in the industry.
I would say at least they were able, like, even though the endings may have been a little bit more rushed than the creators probably would have wanted to, the fact that we got them to
Right.
tell like a complete and satisfied ending for each one is a good
Right.
testament more than anything else.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of the different cartoons that, well, not even really had the same sort of fate, but also kind of suffered around the same things. Like Wander of Yonder is another one that
Oh yeah.
got cut a little bit, well, not a lot of it, too short.
Yes, yes it
And
did.
a lot of those shows really really held out to me as to like, okay, I like this. I'm gonna grab this and I'm going to not let go of it because I don't want to. It's mine. And just a lot of the shows that I grew up around, well, in my younger years especially, also had a lot to do with, well, where I am right now. So that definitely had a big role to play as well.
That extremely valid. Although I love how you said like in your younger years, like you're like some 30 something. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here like I'm like 10 years older
In
than
my
you.
younger years. Right. In my younger years when I was a young lady.
Back in my day, they didn't have a Disney Plus. It was just Disney Channel.
Back in my day, it was Disney Channel on demand on Xfinity.
There you go.
Gracious, gotta get old.
Yeah, trust me, I feel old. But regardless, like especially all the different shows that we talked about right there, when I can see how not just the quality of the shows, but I can see how those different art styles more or less like kind of got blended together into kind of the style you present to yourself. I mean, for people that are watching the video version, like I'm seeing that art style on full display, and I can really see how you're able to like how it makes me wonder like how did you when did you realize you were more or less comfortable with kind of the art style that you presented at this point?
There were a lot of different things that went into it. It was a lot of trial and error. Oh my
Oh
god,
yeah,
so much trial and error. There was a phase where I tried my best to have a very, very realistic art style. It did not go well.
I
I don't want to
imagine.
talk about it. It was not good. It
We
was
do not be
realism,
too real
and
here.
then we do not want to talk about the realism. It was a bad time, but it was realism, and then it went to semi-realism, and then it went to really, really long necks for some reason. I don't know
Mm.
why I drew necks very long, but then when I started like really, really getting into like cartoon stuff again, that played a big role. Um, Kind of seeing the way that other people portray different characters and different franchises also inspired me because the way that I kind of had the mentality of these things is, oh, you have to do it exactly like how it looks. It has to look exactly like it, or it's weird. And when I met Min,
Mm-hmm.
I said I was going to plug her 50 times. I'm
Oh,
going
of
to do
course,
it.
of course.
When I met Min, it was like so completely different because her art style was completely different than anything else I had seen before. It was flowy, it was smooth. It did not care about the the logistics of everything. It looked damn good, and that's
Yes,
all that mattered.
that's all
And
that. That's
she
all that should
was one
matter.
of the exactly, she was one of the primary inspirations to the way my art is now.
Okay.
The way that she did her sketches, how flowy it was. I had to beg her to teach me the line of action 80 times because she had it down to a T. And the way that she does her rendering, the way she does her backgrounds, she still continues to inspire me to this day. So I think if any of these inspirations I've listed and the way that my art style has grown, a lot of it is thanks to her.
I mean, to be fair, there's a part of the reason why I wanted to make sure to have you here is because of the way that Min just already gave you a glowing review, even though I was already blown away by your art. It makes me interested as well. How did you guys even first meet up in the first place, and then how has your guys' like friendship grown to the point to where here we are right now? You guys are both working together on this incredible concept, which we will talk about zipped up a little bit, even though we talked about it a lot with Min or whatnot. But like, how did it start, and how has it grown to this point?
Well, come sit by the fire with me because I got a story for you.
All right, I'm nice and
So,
comfy. Let's go.
in the late months of November 2023, sorry, I think it was 2023 or
Okay.
2022. My mind is foggy. But we met through, again, Rise.
Okay.
And I found her through a piece that she had did I think it was Future Leo from the movie. And I
Okay.
was like, oh, I like that a lot. And then I drew one, and we both liked ours, each other. I'm trying to remember this as I go because I have very bad memory. But
Valid,
um,
understandable.
I have bad memory, but I promise it happened close to this. You can ask her. My memory is horrible. But it was, I think she posted something about a server for mutuals, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna hop in that because we're mutuals too. So I popped in there. There was a little video call, not video call, voice call, gracious. And me, if I'm in a voice call with a lot of people and I don't know these people, I'm gonna be a little quiet.
Okay.
And it just happens. It's kind of like I
That
gotta listen first before I get my bearings, and then I'll start kind of jabbering your ears off.
that's valid.
But I think it was something she said. She said something, and it was a city very, very close to mine. And I was like, wait a minute. What did you say? She said it again. I was like, wait a minute. I live close to you. I'm not going to disclose locations, because duh. But I was like, I
Right,
live
right.
close to you. We lived 40 minutes away.
Oh wow.
And it was insane. Just like the conveniency of it all. It was like, oh, we live 40 minutes away. We got to know each other outside of this tiny little server and started spending more time together. And then I think one day we were like, okay, let's try meeting up, or we'll come over. Came over, and it was like an immediate click. It's like we had known each other since elementary school. We didn't miss a beat. And it's been just amazing ever since, getting to know her more as a person and seeing how far she's come.
Mm-hmm.
We had, I'm trying to make sure I remember this correctly because I don't want to get anything wrong, but it was, there's so much, I'm trying to remember it. We were making these like animations within, I'd give it like a couple of weeks for whoever had asked for it. I think it was for a couple of zines.
Okay.
And I think it was in the month of December 2023
Okay.
where she really decided to like kick off Zipped Up as its own thing. And of course, I'm a cheer her on the whole way because girl, go get it. I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. So it was originally a proof of concept, and
Right.
then she said, okay, I want to make this its own thing, and then it's just been so much more than could have ever been anticipated, and it's just been growing since then.
Oh yeah, no,
And
absolutely.
it's insane how much it's been growing, and it's just such a blessing to be able to be there next to her with it and actually see it grow, and being able to help out with things as well where I can.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's insane how something like that started as simple as just a VC with mutuals or whatnot because of a fandom
Literally.
for Rise of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has spawned to this point where you guys are putting together this incredible indie animated concept called Zipped Up.
It's literally a domino effect. It's
Yeah.
insane.
It's one of those, I would say go in detail describing about this stuff, but Min did a fantastic job with that with her episode, and I highly recommend you guys go check it out, which I will have that linked in the description below if you guys have not seen that episode. Seriously, it is a fun, fantastic episode, and Min is a blast to talk to. But, like, I'm now curious, like, since obviously this was, like, her idea, this was, like, her baby that's really, like, you know, brought to life or whatnot. How have you been involved with the project, and what kind of life have you added to it to really make it something else? Because I've seen, like, I will say, I've seen the clips you've had a hand in. I've seen some of the animation stuff, and they are absolutely outstanding regardless. But, like, in your words, how have you been able to have a hand in this amazing project?
I've wanted to do a lot more than I've been able to,
Okay.
but there's been a lot of different things that have like kind of just, high school and other things
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I want to put more time into it. But in the time that I have been able to put into it, I've helped out with storyboarding. I think I've helped out a teensy weensy bit. It was mostly our character design department, but
Mm-hmm.
I've helped out a little bit with character design as well. I've mostly just been manning the social medias.
Okay.
And if there's any promotional art, if there's like a little animation thingy, I will, if not anybody else, I will definitely do it. Um, if there's anything that's ever needed as far as like promotional art, I will do my best to get it.
Mm-hmm.
But high school is very mean,
Of
and
course.
it's very mean. I wish I could like be more, not be more, but I wish I could do way, 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 way more. But senior in high school, people are gonna ask a million bajillion things,
Right.
and I feel like once I graduate, once summer comes around, it'll be way, way easier to start getting more knee deep into things. But in general, I absolutely try to help out where I can.
Absolutely. I mean, even then, with what you have been able to have a hand in, like you said, like with the little bit of animation stuff and a lot of the promotion stuff when it comes to social media and stuff, that's still a big hand at the end of the day. Like really getting that word out there, because I mean, to be blunt, you guys have been able to really get a good sized audience to really come behind this project and really like show that love and support with it. I can only imagine for you like how the experience has kind of been for you, like not just seeing the people that love and support this thing, but also the people that are working hard on this thing to bring this
Yeah.
amazing unique concept to life.
I'm just putting it out there. Our crew is amazing. Our crew is so awesome. I can't help but give like so many kudos to not just them, but also Min for manning this for like as independently as she has.
Right.
Just seeing how much love is being put into it, being put into every single like animation whip that I see. I always check with Min. I'm like, oh my god, did you see what they sent in? Look, it's Vapor, or oh, it's Kester. Look, it's just amazing. Like it started out with her brain baby, and now
Mm-hmm.
it's just delved into this massive thing that's growing so much quicker than we thought it would. And it's just like it's insane. And also seeing the amount of work and love that people put into it, be it the voice actors, be it the animators, be it the rest of the promotional artists. It's insane just seeing how much goes into it.
It absolutely is insane. I mean, I can only imagine for you, like I said, really being there and seeing the amazing crew. I can only imagine how excited you are for the world to finally see this thing once you guys got everything in a row and are ready to present this to the
Oh
world.
gosh. Oh dude. Oh dude. Oh, I would not be able to shut up. I would be trashing this every single day. Goodness, I would not shut up about it.
I mean, trust me, like I said, with what Min had said and what you were saying right now, I would not be surprised. I really would not. and
I would not shut my mouth.
And trust me, I am excited to see it because ever since I got introduced to that concept because of you, and I'll explain why in a second, but ever since I got really introduced to that concept, I've just been excited to see what you guys are doing because like the concept alone is just so weird and unique and like off the wall, like out of this universe, out of this multiverse, obviously, and and to see the work that you guys and the team have been able to put into it. That's why I wanted to make sure to have you guys on here to talk about it, because it's so well done for not just for an indie project, but just for an animated project in general.
It's been inspiring to me seeing how far it's come. Like just being able to see it from like a I don't want to say a coworker's point of view, but just somebody who has been able to watch it from the beginning. It's inspiring. It's like I always think to myself, I'm like, man, I kind of want to do that too. But then I realize how much work goes into it. I'm like, holy gracious, you guys are strong. Like, oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, it's not like you're just like there on the sidelines being like, "You guys keep doing the awesome work. Like, let's go." Like, again, you've been able to have a good hand and really helping to create it. And I mean, with the social media aspect, I gotta say certainly done a good job really getting the word out there. I mean, it certainly didn't hurt whenever you had your own stuff kind of popping off. It kind of led people in that direction. And I think we all know the big one that needs to be addressed, if I may. Um,
May.
you are the person that presented onto the world the unique concept known as the Amazing Digital Fight Club. Um, which for those who
Amazing impression.
thank you. Which for those who don't know, obviously is a alternate universe of the Amazing Digital Circus. I am just curious, how did you even come up with this idea in the first place? Because whenever I watched the show, I never thought Fight Club was a thing I would jump to.
So, okay. Gotta gotta rewind again.
Okay,
So disclaimer, it is not based off of the movie or the book Fight Club.
of
It
course.
I've seen people make the comparison like, "Oh, this is like Fight Club. You can't say what happens in the Fight Club or what the quote is." I'm sorry to break it to
For,
you. It's not based on that
for
at all.
first rule about Fight Club: don't talk about Fight Club. That's not what this Fight Club
Yeah,
is.
I would I would see that and I was like, it's not exactly that one. But I think when I came up with this little concept, it was most definitely just for fun. Um
Right.
it was this little thing. I think it started off as like the design that I did for I think it was Pomni. And I was like, "Oh, well, let's make her look like a boxer. That should be fun." And I was like, "Oh, I might as well do it for the rest of the cast and just give them like unique little designs because for me, the way that I like kind of indulging in franchises that I like is making my own silly little designs of them. And
Right.
this was one of them. And something that also kind of went into it is the fact that again, I have to say it when I was younger
Mm-hmm.
in the wee days, um I grew up around a lot of like Marvel versus Capcom and Street Fighter and such like that.
Yes.
So that was also a very, very, very big influence on it, um, in me making it, and just also how different it could be, compared to, I don't want to say compared to the original because there's still a lot of aspects to it that inspired it, but just seeing how different I could actually take things and
Mm-hmm.
kind of changing the way that, because it's a game, seeing how much differently I could make it. So lots of different things went into how I kind of developed this silly little idea. And then one forsaken day, I was like, okay, I want to make a little poster for this. Like how um Street Fighter and games like Tekken and Streets of Rage, I think it's called, how franchises like that, how they do those little box art pieces.
Right.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna do that too. Yeah. And then it just kind of went from there.
Yeah, it's one of those you decide, oh, it'd be cute. I want to make this little box art thing. Wait, where's it going? Where's it going? What? Who are you
Like,
people?
wait, hey, oh, just hey, okay, hi guys, hi.
It reached outside the target audience.
And it's so funny because it was originally posted on Tumblr.
Mm-hmm.
I a lot of what was posted for it was put on Tumblr,
Right.
and then I think it was like 3 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I went on Twitter or somebody tagged me and I can't remember, but somebody was like, "Hey, isn't this your art?" And it was reposted by somebody, and it got like a lot of views and likes, and I was like, "Oh, that is my art." Oh, I guess I just didn't post it here. Okay, I'll post it here and message the person to take it down because I don't really like my art being reposted.
Right. No,
Um,
obviously. No.
so yeah, I just requested that they take it down, and they did, and I just posted it myself. I wake up in the morning to go to school. Where did you people come from? Where did you guys come from?
Oh my god, that instant response! I can only imagine just how instant. Like you probably had to like take your phone and be like, "Yeah, you're gonna be on the sideline today. Like you're just gonna rest."
Yeah, I did. I was just okay. All right. Hi, guys. Like, okay. didn't think it'd get that much attention, but then it did, and I was like, okay, I might as well post the rest of it here too.
I mean, to be fair, in your defense, it's not just the fact that it's a unique little concept on its own with like the fighting game aspect or whatnot. It's that you did a damn good job really illustrating it. Like that stuff looked legit from the word go. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Hey,
I think that was another one that kind of pushed the way that I do my rendering.
okay.
Um, it was definitely one of the bigger pieces that I've done. So I'm still really proud of how that poster came out. And a lot of the other print work that I've done is very, very reminiscent to that poster as well. So I think they did definitely played a really, really big part.
Oh no, absolutely. Plus, it's not just like the poster itself, but even then looking at how you designed each individual character to where it's still relevant to the original source material, but yet also like so unique and so colorful, and just like you can't help but not look at every single render that you made. Like I can only imagine the amount of time you probably put into it just trying to get the look down more than anything else.
That was definitely the fun part.
Oh,
If
I bet.
I can recall correctly, I think there was probably only two, maybe three of the designs that I really had to like take some thinking power for. Zubal's was the hardest
I
because
bet.
I had to I had to figure out a color scheme without making it nauseating to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then it was Kingers. He was weird. He was a little weird. I feel like he could have definitely been a little bit more unique, but it's okay. Um, but their designs were definitely really, really fun to do. Like again, Zubal's was inspired by luchadors, and there were a few other inspirations that went into them. I can't remember them because my memory's bad. But yeah, I think their designs is definitely what made it so fun and really exploring like, well, very surface level game techniques because I never actually played the games myself, but it's okay.
Um.
I watched and I learned without touching the console, so it's okay.
I mean, look, in your defense, I'm also a fan of the, like Marvel versus Capcom or whatnot, but only because I watch people like Lythero playing that game and like the fun that he would
Right.
have with like with his buddies or whatnot. Um,
Right. I watch, but if I try to play it, well, I think it'll be over within like 5 seconds, so it's okay. I tried. I tried, but
Trust me, I am
let's just
also
say this
I am
was
also
somewhere else.
atrocious at games as well. I get it.
Like, put me on Minecraft and we're good. But those, maybe not.
I'll tell you what, though, I'll be the best button masher in the world. I won't know what I'll do with any of those buttons, but I'll be the best button masher in the
Right. I
world.
might hit you twice. That's it. I might hit you like 3 times. That's all you're gonna get from me.
I will say, like, of all the designs, like when it came to what you did right there, I mean, I it pains me to say this, but like the three best designs, I should say, is Pomni, Jax, and Kane. Those three, you absolutely nailed it like to a T. They are absolutely phenomenal, and I could instantly see those like
Oh
it,
yeah, those were my favorite.
yeah, I was gonna say like if you found a way to take like the digital circus like theme out of it or whatnot, I could just see those as just three playable characters in some fighting game in general, not just like an AU of the Amazing Digital Circus. That's how good those designs are.
Thank you. Those definitely were, dare I say, the first ones that they were the first ones I made. Um, out of all of them. And it's not that I didn't put as much, I don't want to say care. What word am I looking for? Um, I don't know. Word's not there. But
Didn't put as
those
much
were
effort.
definitely as much effort, dare I say. It's not that I didn't put as much effort into them. It's mostly just the fact that like when the spark was absolutely there, blazing 1 bajillion%,
Mm-hmm.
those were the first three that I made. And I think even nowadays, even though I may not post about it as much as I used to,
Right.
those are still the three that I can look at and be like, yeah, I kind of cooked with those. I think those are still pretty, they're good. Yeah, I like those.
I mean, you definitely cooked with them whenever you saw, again, the internet's response to it more than anything else. So many people liking, appreciating, making their own fan art of it, making stuff like shout out to former guest Dandy, making basically like fighting music, like intro music and such for the
Yeah,
characters and such.
Dandy's insane.
Dandy is insane.
I think he redid it recently. but it was Danny. I think it was another musician. I think it was his name was DeSolo, who also made music for it. And then there's people making animations for it. There's people making fan art for it. I'm just like, whoa, oh, okay, guys. I just posted the designs. Okay, whoa. It was so like in I think it was the first week that it came out. It was so crazy, but it was also so overwhelming as well
I bet.
because there were also the people, and
Yep.
these people are going to exist regardless, that would come into my DMs being like, hey, we're going to make a show out of this. We're going to make a story out of this. We're going to write something. We're going to make a game out of this. We're going to have it be for
Mm,
profit. I'm a firm believer that if something is based off of something else, it should not be for profit. It
yep.
shouldn't. And even in general, the AU was something that I made completely for fun.
Yeah.
So I think there was one interaction with somebody I will not name, but it was just, hey, we're gonna make this and it's gonna be this massive thing. It'll rival Gooseworks. It'll be this. I'm just like, no, no, let's not do that. No,
Oh, it,
let's
it
not.
it
And
doesn't
then it
need to rival Gooseworks. I'm sure
it
Gooseworks.
doesn't.
I'll say I'm sure Gooseworks probably enjoyed seeing that.
It's like I've met so many crazy people through it. And I've gotten so many opportunities through it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it's just like I would never want it to be something that was just made to Marvel, not a Marvel, gracious. I'm still thinking Marvel versus Capcom, Jesus. But to kind of go against the original thing, because that's
Right.
not what I wanted. Um, there was a lot of people who were going around saying, "Hey, this will be better than the actual thing. This will surpass it." I'm just like, "No, no, let's not say that. No,
Yeah.
that's
That
not
that's
what.
not the
That's not the
point.
point. Like, no, that's not the point." So it kind of got to a point where it was a bit discouraging to see how a lot of what I wanted to make for it was mostly just kind of diminished into just making it to be better than the original or
Right.
making it to profit off of it or make it into this, make it into that. I didn't want to make it into anything but what I wanted to make it into, if
Right.
that makes sense.
No, no, that makes
And
perfect sense.
I think that's just one of the things that also kind of played a hand into kind of the reason why I don't really post as much about it anymore. Um because as much as I've met amazing people through it, as much as like there's been a lot of good that came into it, it was in general overwhelming. And it's like it's difficult when there's people constantly like, "Hey, you, I know you made it, but I'm going to take it and I'm going to run with it and we're going to do this thing." And it's just like, "No. No, we're not, cuz
No.
that's not the point. You're missing the point." That's yeah.
No, that,
Yeah.
obviously, like the point of it, like you said, was just to have some fun with these characters that in an already really amazing series in the first place. It wasn't like you made this thing being like, all right, let me see if I can make the next cash grab out there.
Right.
that
That wasn't the point.
that was never your intention, and to see it, like to see so many people just being like, we can make money off of it, I can understand how discouraging it is. I feel bad, I really do, like, because I especially hearing your side of the story more than anything else, like I knew you made it out of fun in the first place. No one goes into well, I'm not gonna say no one, but like
Right.
especially for something like that, with how much you put into that just to really showcase that, there was no way you went into that thinking I'm gonna make some bank off of this. Like, no, it's like, I have fun, these
Was
things
not
look
trying to
cool.
make no bank.
It's like you looked at that and you're like, this is cool. I want to make cool stuff. And here you are, you made cool thing and people love it. I mean, again, if it wasn't for that, I don't even know if we'd be having this conversation right now, because like it was honestly seeing that, and then I think it was whenever I was looking on like your Twitter or whatnot, I think I seen the, what was it, like zipped up, like I think you had it tagged in your bio or
Mhm.
something like that, and that's what led me down the zipped up route, and seeing what you guys are doing with that. So there is some good that did come from, obviously,
Yeah,
the
there's
Fight
there's
Club.
good in it. It's like I can't say it's just bad. Like
Right.
no, it's not completely bad. I understand there were some like little nicks in there. I look back and I'm just like, "Oh, gracious." But even still, there were some amazing things that came from it, like the people that I was able to meet from it. A lot of the opportunities that I got from it. And it is just there's good to everything. I
Yeah.
can't say it was bad. It wasn't bad. Um nor was it completely overwhelming. Sorry, I thought I heard something. But it there was a okay. Wow.
Oh, I did hear. I guess you did hear something.
Mhm. All right, wonderful.
I'll
Okay,
say
so
we can take a timeout if you need to get that taken care
no,
of.
no, you're good. You're fine. Um, sorry. There's. I'm right next to the kitchen. It's fine. I'm fine. Um, yeah, it was.
I'm half tempted to leave that in there.
But leave it in. Leave it in.
Okay, I got
Leave
you.
it in. It's just a fire alarm in the back. Leave it in. But yeah, it was just there's a lot that came from it, and with me because I never really like saw that coming. Of
Hmm.
course, it was overwhelming, but even still, I can't complain. I met amazing people from it, and a lot of the people that I met from it work on Zipped Up. So it's
Yeah,
like there's a reason for everything. So
there is a reason for
I'm
everything.
always grateful for it.
Good. I mean, at the end of the day, like it's really cool to see kind of the impact you kind of had with that, and obviously seeing the impact it kind of had just in general with the opportunities and the people you got to meet. Like it's really cool to see like the doors it may have opened, but I can also imagine, like you said, like having that go down, seeing how Zipped Up is doing. You know, you said when you as you work on Zipped Up, it kind of inspired you a little bit. It makes me curious. There has to be an idea that you would love to tinker with at some point, an idea you'd love to bring to life at some point.
Oh gracious, there's so many. Oh gosh, there's so many. But the problem is, I'm not a scriptwriter. I can't write for anything. Um,
Valid.
I think there's been a lot of ideas that have sparked in my brain. Um, Even if they're just one-off ideas that
Hmm.
I think about. I'm like, oh, I want to make characters for these, and then I actually think about writing for it, and I'm just like, oh well, crap. Okay, well, moving on. I've had a lot of ideas over the years.
Okay.
I remember when I was younger, I was way, 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 way more into writing than I am now.
Okay.
I think there was something that I wrote that was over 16 chapters. I don't even
Dang.
remember what it was about, but it was a lot. And I had character designs, I had everything. And now looking back on it, it kind of just looks like the scribbles of a 6-year-old. So it's okay, but I can't really do anything with that. So I've had a lot of different ideas as
Okay.
to what we could possibly want to do in the way future. But like for example, one of them could possibly include Bart because I like Bart a lot.
Yeah.
But it a lot of little drabbles, even if it's just like spending most of my time learning about the industry and kind of getting my bearings and seeing how things work before I start really diving into my own thing. I'm okay with that. I'm
That's
perfectly content with that.
well, there you go. And for those that may be curious, because like I like Bart, I like Bart a lot. We're not talking about the Simpsons character. We're talking about obviously the illustrated design that I've been talking
This
to
Bart.
the entire time.
We're talking about this Bart, and Bart has been around for a long, long time. Bart has been through like 8 different metamorphoses.
Goodness.
I think, yeah.
How would you describe Bart then?
Bart is weird. Bart's always been like my little, um, dare I say, persona,
Okay.
not a Persona 5 reference,
Of course
but
not.
always been my little always been my little way of like expressing myself.
Okay.
And I still have old art from when she was first kind of conceptualized. I think she was inspired by it was some PNG tuber that I saw and I was like, "Oh, that's really cute. I want to make my own." It didn't look similar, I don't think, but it was Bart and it kind of just delved into this little thing that I like to use to kind of represent myself besides, the obvious, just a drawing of myself.
Right.
But it's definitely been something that's deviated a little bit away from just me and more of something that I do want to like kind of utilize more in the future, even if it's just making a little spin-off and kind of turning it into its own thing. But I don't know. I don't know. Just food for thought.
I mean, there's still plenty of time to think about it. I mean, again, we're talking right now.
Yeah,
You're a senior in high school at this point. You're about to go to college. Like you have plenty of time to think about all this stuff.
I've got time. I've got time. And who knows? I may come up with like other ideas. I most definitely probably will.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, you're about to head into college. Lord knows how many ideas get spawned from there, just from random conversations you may have with some of your some of your classmates, I should say.
Right. Like, even if it's, who knows, like a thesis film, it could be something completely different. And it's so, for me, I can't help but think into the future and just imagine all the other things that could possibly come with it because we don't know. We have no clue. We have no clue what the future holds, and even just like the next few months.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited to see where everything goes, not just like for me, but for the projects that I help out with, for Zipped Up, for everything else. It's just really awesome to think about.
Absolutely. I mean, even then, like, you know, taking a step back and thinking, like, it's cool to think about what you got potentially, your hands in when it comes in the future, but like even taking a step back and thinking about your past, how you even got up to this point, from growing
Right.
growing up more or less like nurtured in the art fields in one form or fashion, to here you are right now, like having so many hands in so many incredible ideas, and Lord knows how much more you're gonna be able to do. I mean, hey, you might stick down with the animation route, you might do more illustrated stuff. Heck, like I said in the intro, you might dip into making music for all we know. I mean, who knows at this point? um but
Right. There's so many different things.
like, just even thinking just your art journey as a whole, are you more or less surprised, or at least, you know is it sort of surreal to think about how far you have been able to develop as an artist?
It is insanely surreal. Um, Even looking back on a lot of the works that I did, let's say like 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
how how different it is through the way that I see my improvement. Like 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, when I was a wee child, 8 years old or younger. Just seeing the way things have changed through the people I've met, the things that I've seen, and what I've learned. It's really, really crazy to think about, dare I say, how far I've come and even where I'll go.
Oh yeah.
Because, well, I don't know everything. There's still things that I learn every single day. And just the beauty of it all is that it's never going to look the same. It's not going to be the same even if it's a day after you drew it the first time. So it's kind of just a testament to the beauty of learning, I guess it is. It's just like you're always improving. I'm always
Absolutely.
improving. And even if it feels like you're not, you are. So it's definitely crazy to see how far I've come, even if it's just a year comparison.
Yeah.
Um, so dare I say I pat myself on the back. I'm proud of me. If 5-year-old me looked at me now, she would probably kick me in my shin. But something like that. I don't she was violent, so who knows.
I mean, hopefully at that point, if you were to meet 5-year-old self, you would at least have shin guards prepared for it, just in case.
I would hope so. I truly would hope so. I'm not good at preparing anyway. I'd hope so.
Well, then for this next question, if I may, let me give you a little bit more than just a little prep. Let me give you something above and beyond. Let me give you, Bryn, more or less the dream scenario, if I may. Let's
Okay.
let's
Okay.
let's say I am Big Shot Mr. Moneybags. I come to him like, look, Bryn, we have seen the incredible work you've been able to have a hand in, and we know that there is some untapped potential right there for something absolutely amazing when it comes to what you can present. You just need a little extra push, a little extra platform to get you to that point.
Okay. Okay.
We have access to everyone and anyone in whatever industry possible, and more money than there should be possible. It really should be compensating the animators right now, especially those that are trying to make
You
sure
know?
that yeah, trying to make sure that they can, get health insurance, have a solid place to stay, get solid work and such. Hashtag stand with animation. But
Hashtag.
yep. But we'll focus on them in a little bit. We promise. We promise we will take care of them. All right. You have our word.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, we just want to focus on you and you alone for this moment. If given this opportunity, what would be the dream Brynn Lewis project?
Hmm. Give me all these hard questions. Now I gotta use my brain.
Yep.
Trying to think. Um, One of the things that has definitely been one of my dreams ever since I was a kid was to have a full symphonic orchestra to my disposal. Um,
Oh.
Even if it's like to do a score for something, even if it's to just make my favorite songs into an orchestral arrangement just for fun, even if it's just that. But I would love to like very kind of far fetched, but to even if it could be anything that I make, but if there is an symphonic orchestra, you can sign me in. I don't care.
There you
I
go.
don't care what it is as long as it's there because I I love classical music and I've always wanted to see it in person.
Right.
Kind of sidebar. I think there was a convention. I can't remember what it was called in Harbor. I think it was at the Harbor in DC, and there was a live orchestra with over 100 people, and they played one of my favorite songs, and it sounded amazing. And I was so upset
Oh.
because why couldn't I be there? It was so good. And it was my favorite song too. I think they played "Can You Feel the Sunshine?" I think that's what it's called. Don't
Okay.
count me on it. I think that's what it is from Sonic Racing, and it
Okay.
sounded good. It sounded so good, and I was so mad that I couldn't be there because it's literally like not even an hour drive from where I am. So if it were anything, absolutely anything, it would have to have a symphonic orchestra. I would love to have one of those. Just free reign, absolute free reign.
You know what? I think we have the amenities to make that a reality more than anything else because I think we can all agree classical music it goes hard. All right.
It goes so hard.
And
I don't
also,
care what anybody says.
no, no, no. If anyone disses classical music in this household, I swear.
Hey, hey, if you diss classical music in front of me, I will meet you personally because we're gonna have a problem if you diss classical music in my face.
There you go. And also, I will say, hey, a beautiful thing about going to SCAD is again, you're about to be in Atlanta, so
Exactly.
and I will also say, you might want to also, if transportation is something you might think you struggle with or whatnot, we do have a public transport system called MARTA.
Oh, perfect.
So you could be able to go places, and if there is a classical orchestra performing at the arena or whatnot, you have the means to potentially go, so you can actually see it this time. Just saying,
Noted. Noted.
putting that out there. But
Good to know.
but sadly, we gotta get down from the dream scenario. We gotta get back to reality, and
Oh, okay.
yep,
Okay.
and I'll ask the ever so generic question: where do you hope to see yourself in, say, 5 to 10 years from now?
That is a good question. And it is an answer that has always been tricky for me
Of
because
course,
there's so many things I want to do.
of course,
Um, if not anywhere that's like, a 9 to 5 job, because goodness, we
yeah,
all during this economy might just have to. But if anything, I would love to be able to help out with more indie animated series. These S's are really weird for me. Help out with more series. Just even if it's, I would love for it to still be zipped up. We better keep that up and running for the
oh,
next 10 years.
I'll say y'all
It,
better.
we better. Hey,
If nothing else,
Kickstarter in April.
I was gonna say, hey, if nothing else, I need to make sure I do get my guest voice spot within those next 5 to 10 years. Okay.
Hey, we'll reach out to you.
There you go.
Absolutely. You heard her. You heard her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not just that, but whatever comes out in the next 5 to 10 years, it doesn't matter what it is. Or maybe it does matter, who knows. But I would love to help out a lot more in the indie sphere and even the industry
Yeah.
if they actually learn to pay people properly and not lay them off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think another thing that I would love to do is I would love to kind of tap more into the musical side of things.
Okay.
Um, Kind of get more into that, be it like music composition, getting back into actually playing instruments besides the piano because I used to play the French horn. Did it last
Ah.
long? No, but it's okay. Um, just kind of exploring more to that side of things besides just the surface level, if that makes sense. But I think if anything, just being involved, staying involved in everything. I would assume by that time, if I'm not back for a master's, then I would be graduated by then.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely a lot dealing with the industry, keeping those connections, being able to do more than being shackled by high school. But just doing more, being there in the community, being there in the industry, and helping out where I can is where I'd love to see myself, even if it's just like the next few years.
Oh yeah. I mean, trust me. Like as like we've been emphasizing at a few points. Like if I'm being blunt, you're just starting. All right, so you have plenty of opportunities ahead of you, and I'm excited to see what's going to be what
Oh.
opportunities you can to really have fun in this industry in one form or fashion. Um, and I will say I love the little French horn aside because it made me think. Oh yeah, that's right. Whenever I was in middle school, I played the trombone for like a year and a half. Um,
Right. Didn't last too long, but it was there.
it
There
was
was a
there.
time.
It
I
was the
yeah,
style
I
at the
bounced
time.
through like it was a time. I bounced through I give it like 3, 4 instruments during that time.
Goodness.
I was a junkie back then. I was jumping. But it was the piano, it was the violin.
Oh.
Didn't last long. I still have my first violin. It's broken, but we're not going to talk about that. Um it was a little tiny violin that my dad got me from like the music and art store. And
Okay.
music and art store, yeah. Um and it was old, so I hadn't played it in years, but it was the violin. Then it moved on to the French horn. I think I still have that French horn.
Ooh.
I think maybe, but it's a little dented because it was a rented one. And
Right.
then for a short time, I really wanted to get into the melodica. It didn't
Oh.
last, but I still have it. And now it's just the piano and little dilly dallying on like digital music production and such like that. I do want to do more with actual music composition, but
Okay.
there's still a lot that I need to learn as far as that goes.
Well,
So,
well,
taking my time.
yeah, I was gonna say, trust me, you got plenty of time. Believe me.
Yeah, I'm taking my time.
As we start to wind down the interview, I just have one last question I want to ask you. Obviously, like I've emphasized a million times at this point before, you are deeply entrenched in art in one form or fashion. Always have been, and at this point, always will be. There's nothing that's going to take you
Yeah.
away from this field. Um, how important is art, not just for you, but for the world as a whole?
Oh, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Art is in literally everything you do.
Hmm.
And I feel like with anything in every passing day, you can't go a minute without seeing it.
Right.
And not even just that, but the people who help make these things come to reality, they're so integral to just like the foundation of well, life. Like you can imagine any occupation, you can imagine anything. Most likely an artist had something to do with it. So for me, and not even just like surface level, but also with the way that I go through life, art is a means of existing, if I think about that in a very psychological way. But it's a way that you can express yourself, it's a way that you communicate, it's a way that you do anything. Language is art, music is art, this is art, that is art. Everything that you can possibly think of is art, whether you like it or not. So I guess for me, the big dollar question is what would everything be like without it?
Right.
Can't think about it. It's weird trying to think of everything just being devoid of art. It's what makes us human. So I guess with that, it's just, it's everything to me. I don't know where I'd be without the craft that I have or the family that I've grown up with teaching me that craft. So it's like, it means a lot. It's probably the only thing that I don't want to say the only thing keeping me going. That's weird. But it's the one thing that's helped me grow, not only as a person but also again as an artist. So it's definitely something that I feel like needs to be given a lot more credit than it is, especially in today's day and age. Just it's so much. There's so much that I feel like just isn't talked about as much as it should be
Oh
because
yeah.
there's so much that nowadays is just kind of being brushed under the rug.
Hmm.
So if there's anything that can be taken away from the absolute mouth vomit that I just said, TLDR, art is what makes you human. And without it, well, I guess you're a robot. So, and anything you do in any aspect is art. And I believe that that's the one thing about humanity that should always be cherished.
I think that is wonderfully worded, if I do say so myself.
Why, thank you.
You're very welcome. Brynn, that is all the questions I have for you. I've already showered you with Lord knows how much praise at this point, but I'm gonna shower you with a little bit
Oh,
more. It's because it's my podcast. I do what I want. Um, um, like I had said a million times before, and I'll say it again or whatnot. I first got introduced to yourself thanks to obviously the Amazing Digital Fight Club, but honestly, like it wasn't just the concept that drew me in; it was your art. Your art, ever since I first saw it, was absolutely stunning, and I was just amazed
no.
to see not only how well and how detailed it is, but to know that it came from someone like you, someone who, because like I said, at first glance, I thought it was someone that had years like working on this stuff. And technically, you have had years working on this stuff. But like the fact that you're at this stage to where right now you're about to get done with the necessary BS that is regular school and whatnot.
Right.
You're about to step into college and get a first real taste of the world and to really get closer to really making this your career. Like it's really cool and honestly, it's really inspiring. Like I am anticipating and I'm excited to see what's going to be happening next with you because seeing what you'll be able to have a hand
No.
in, whether it is the AUs, whether it is zipped up, whether it is what you're doing on your own time or whatnot, and especially knowing the people that are around you that have helped you get up to this point, whether it be your family of artists or the friends such as men that have been showing that love and support for you and shouting your name just as you've been shouting everyone else's name throughout the entire time. I know that you're going places. Like, there's no doubt. Like, obviously, like I said, you just gotta get through this next little slog of the next few months that is high school. But once you are out of that, like, the world is gonna open up so wide for you because you are so immensely talented and you are so immensely positive, and I cannot wait to see how you're gonna be conquering that next step and really knock it out of the park with every single opportunity that I know you're either going to get or every opportunity you're going to create for yourself because I know there's going to be some fantastic stuff in the future and I am excited for whatever's going to be happening next. The long and the short of it is, Brynn, thank you for what you do. Thank you for putting yourself out there like you have so far. And just note that I'm going to be the one of Lord knows how many people at this point, but I'm going to be one of the loudest people that's going to be rooting for you every single step of the way because I'm excited for what's going to be next for you. Thank you for what you do.
Dude, you're about to make me start crying, man.
Look, I'm just being honest, all right? Like,
Oh, thank you. Oh, about to make me start crying over here, man. Stop.
look, I'm sorry that you're an extremely talented artist and I gotta sing your praises, all right? What do you expect from me?
Oh, oh, thank you. It means a lot. It means a crazy lot. You're making me emotional. Stop. Stop it.
Oh, just wait till we get to MomoCon. I'm gonna have you in tears at this
Oh,
point.
cut it out. Cut it out. No, I'm gonna run from you. I'm gonna run away. I'm a track star. I'm running from you.
There you go. Now, if people want to know why I have been just over the moon about your art and such and singing your praises for an hour or so, however long we've been recording at this point, go ahead and plug your stuff for the people at home. Where can people find more about you and the incredible art you're producing?
Can do. So you can find me at burrotello probably mostly everywhere. I know it's the same on Twitter, it's the same on Instagram, minus the fact that there's a period before the U.
Mm-hmm.
There's an extra O on TikTok, and then it's the same on Tumblr. So you can mostly find me under the same tag, basically technically everywhere. There's also Blue Sky, but I don't really use that as much as I probably should.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Well, there you go. And I'll be sure to have all those links and then some. If you've missed any, I got them in the description below. I got you covered, homie. Um,
Why, thank you.
do you have any final words before we sign off?
Hmm. You have been racking my brain for who knows how long. Now I gotta think again. I'm not good with thinking. Um, Final words. Of course, thank you so much for having me on this
Of course.
and allowing me the time to actually talk a hole through your head. It's been an absolute blessing being able to meet people like you through the things that I'm able to do and the things that I can put out there for the public. So I can't wait to see where you, where all of us go in the next coming months to years to who knows how long. So all I can say is just a massive thank you. Not just to you, not just to, whoever's listening, but to everybody. Because there's so many people that I could list. Cough, cough, men, cough, my family, cough, you,
Mm-hmm.
cough, that I'm just so immensely grateful for. And I don't know where I'd be without any of you guys. So, from the bottom of the deepest pits of my heart, that sounds nasty. Ill. from, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you, and thank everybody because it means the world to me.
Well, thank you for your time and thank you for the kind words. They genuinely do mean a lot.
Of course. Of course.
And with that, all I've left to say is for the people at home, if you can, please pay your artists.
Please do. Please do. This economy is not nice. Please do.
Tell me what's wrong, tell me sparks in motion. Sing me a song, tell me your eyes can all open. Show me it all, pick me up in the car you drove when you used to call. Show me it all.
Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If this is your first time listening, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. And I just want to say, Brynn, if you've gotten up to this point, thank you as well for taking the time to do this. I know it feels surreal to finally get a chance to talk to you, but like I'm glad we had this conversation, and I sincerely hope you had a great time. Um, it's always awesome seeing like artists pop off like that. Like I'm sure if you listen back to the conversation, you can hear kind of how surreal and also how overwhelming it kind of was to have an AU like that pop off. But the fact that an artist's work that they've worked so hard on got to the point to where like they were able to use that and spread it to other things that they love so much and want to see grow or whatnot. I think it's very telling more than anything else. And I sincerely hope that you guys, if you don't support Brynn beforehand, definitely support her and definitely support the people over at Zipped Up. Like I made sure to get Brynn as well as Minnie to talk about this stuff because what they're doing over there is absolutely really cool. I mean, it's obviously cool to you guys to a certain extent. I mean, hate to plug the whole entire award thing again, but Zipped Up is nominated for Most Anticipated Project, so if you want that to win, I highly recommend you go to that bell in the description and you vote. Just saying, it'd be really cool. I'd really appreciate it. But regardless, like with how fantastic of a talent that Brynn is, on top of Minnie, like these two are only like a fraction, like a pinch of what that team is capable of, and to see that love and support given back to them and given back to the project, like it's really heartwarming. It's the thing that I try to do with this podcast. I don't know how successful it is, but I mean, you guys can tell me for sure. But I sincerely think that these two leading the charge, or at least one leading the charge and the other one really helping out, they're gonna do phenomenal stuff, and I hope you guys get the opportunity to see that stuff and to show that love and support right back. Because especially these days, artists deserve it. Artists such as yourselves. So let's keep that love going. Not just for the people at Zipped Up, but to all the artists out there that are working their tails off to really tell whatever story that they want to tell. Because they deserve it.